Yes, ma'am. Good morning, dear students. And some of the faces are familiar to me. There are some new faces also I can find. Punya, then Malavika Radhakrishnan, Rijas. You all are new. Punya, you're from where?
Ma'am, I'm from Aura Global School.
Okay, okay. Rijas, why not supposed to? Please turn your video on. Rijas, Alvin, Anna, Meenakshi, Sharon, all should turn your video on. No excuse for that. Rijas, from where you have joined?
I'm from Navodaya Vidyalaya,
Okay, okay.
Alappuzha.
Yes. And one more new face I found. Rijas. Who else is new?
Malavika.
Malavika. You're from?
I'm from Kamal Academy.
Okay, okay. And for the new students, I am Divya. I'll be taking biology for this academic year. Okay, others, they are familiar with me. So for your sake, I'm introducing myself. I'm Divya. Okay. And happy that many of you have taken biology as one of your subject. And can anybody tell me, why did you choose this subject? Let a new student tell me. Punya, tell me, why did you choose? Is there any special reason? I want one answer from old student and one from new. Why, Punya, you chose biology when you had so many options? Huh?
I like the study of plants and animals.
Okay, only that is the reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody from our old batch, our old students, one of you, anybody unmute? I'm not calling out your name. One of you unmute and tell me. What is your, maybe because you have such an ambition to take biology as your optional subject. One of you, anybody? Anybody unmute? You want me to call out your name?
Ma'am, biology is relatively easier and I also need it.
Okay. So that impression will change this year. Okay. So anyway, she was saying, Sania was saying, excuse me. Sania was saying it's very easy subject. But so far, that is what I wanted to start with. Biology, even though you have learned it as a simple subject, maybe in 10th standard, you had very little to learn. Chapters were very six and very simple general chapters you need to learn. But this year, biology you are going to learn as a very vast subject, which means that it includes so many topics. You are going in depth. So far, you had only a surface knowledge regarding biology. Now you're going to learn it in detail. Almost 22 chapters are there in class 11, where you had learned 6 chapters in 10th. Now you are having 22 chapters. So what you need to do is you should take away from your mind that it is a lighter subject. Definitely you can enjoy learning bio, but give proper importance. Don't sideline it saying that it is very that this year you are going to learn all the concepts in quite a detailed version. So make it a point to learn your daily lesson. Never allow anything to get accumulated or pile up, or don't become lazy and think that I will learn the next day. As days pass by, your topics will pile up and finally you will lose the interest in learning. So make it a habit, make it a point to learn your daily lesson. Daily we'll be covering very little. I'm giving this introduction because it's our first class. Okay, I may not repeat this throughout the year. But make it a point to learn your daily lessons, then this won't be a problem. Whether it is 22 or 25, whether it is 22 or 25, it won't be a problem to you if you have a habit of learning your daily lessons. Regularly, learn the lessons. Whatever is covered per day, please complete it the very same day. Okay. Now let us start with our subject. Can anyone define or can anyone tell me what is biology? Anybody tell me what is biology? No problem. Let it be wrong. Doesn't matter. Meenakshi, tell me what is biology? What do you mean by biology? Simple words you can say. What is biology?
Ma'am, the study of plants and animals.
Study of plants and animals. Plants come under a category of botany and animals we learn under zoology. Okay. So you can define or you can say that biology in a very artistically or little adding little metaphors, you can say that biology is a story of life on earth. It's a story of life on earth, or you can say that it is a story of evolution of living organisms on earth. I'll repeat, biology is a story of life on earth, or you can say it is a story of evolution of living organisms on earth. Clear? So we will be proceeding with the topic with the help of a PowerPoint. I'll share the screen and we'll continue. Hope you all can see the screen. If anybody is finding it difficult to see the screen, let me know. If anybody, all can see the screen, I believe. Can you all see the screen, children? One of you respond. Anybody respond? Unmute and tell me you can see or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So the chapter which we are going to deal today is the living world. That is our first chapter, comparatively one of the easiest chapters which we have to learn this year. Okay, the living world. You're going to learn about the living world in detail. Now first, before we begin, let us see what is life. Already I told you that biology means the study of or the story of life on earth. Then what is life? So you can define life as a unique, complex organization of molecules. I'll repeat, life. I hope you have your notepad and pen with you. You take down all these. Definitely the notes will be forwarded to you. Daily notes also will be sent. But still, to maintain your attention, as I used to say, it's always good to write lecture notes. So please copy down along with me and try to learn along with the teaching. Okay, along with the teaching, learning also should go on. I'll repeat, life is a unique, complex organization of molecules expressing through chemical reactions leading to growth, development, and two words are missing, responsiveness. I think it has gone underneath, responsiveness and reproduction. I'll repeat once again, life is a unique, complex organization of molecules. We are made up of, all the living organisms are made up of molecules. Life molecules are there, biomolecules are there, and they express, they carry out chemical reactions. These molecules inside a living organism undergo chemical reactions which will lead to growth, development, responsiveness means we respond to our environment, responsiveness and reproduction. I'll repeat the definition once again. Life can be defined as a unique, complex organization of molecules. Unique, complex organization of molecules expressing through Sania, can you repeat what is life? Life is a
Life is a unique, complex organization of molecules expressing through chemical reactions which lead to the growth, development, responsiveness, and reproduction.
very good, very good. Anybody needs clarification in that point? Anybody needs clarification in that point? No, I suppose. Anywhere when you feel that a particular point is not clear, please stop me in between. Don't hesitate. Any topic or any point you can ask me to repeat, but don't keep it for the next day or don't wait for the class to get over and then to ask. Okay, anywhere you can stop me in between. And next we will see what is meant by a living organism. The beginning I told, biology is a story of life on earth, and we learned what is life. Another definition for biology, what I said is the story of evolution of living organisms on earth. So let's see what is a living organism. The definition for living organism is that it's a self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating, interactive system capable of responding to external stimuli. I'll repeat once again. Living organism. Heard? I'll repeat once again. Life definition is over. This is about living organism. Living organism is a self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating system capable of responding to external stimuli. Let us see what each point means. Self-replicating. In your body, you know, 10th standard you had learned. Replication, DNA replicates, cells replicate. So self-replication is going on in your body and we make a replica of ourselves by reproduction. Then evolving, evolution, gradual evolution. By the accumulation of small changes in your body, slowly the evolution is also taking place. And self-regulating. Your cells have nucleus to regulate. We have different systems which regulate. The system, entire system is being self-regulated. We don't need any assistance from outside. Our body or living organism is capable of regulating all the actions taking place within its body. And we are definitely capable of responding to external stimuli. This and all continuation of what you have learned in 10th standard. Okay. So I'll repeat once again the definition for life. Living organism is a self-regulating, evolving, self-replicating system capable of responding to external stimuli. Once again, a living organism is a self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating, interactive system capable of responding to external stimuli. Anybody need clarification in any of the terms mentioned? Anybody? Rijas, can you repeat what do you mean by a living organism?
A living organism is self-replicating, evolving and self-regulating interactive system capable of responding to external stimuli.
Okay. Next time when I ask question, I would love if I can hear you without looking into the points which is written over there. So try to learn as we are teaching, because that is why I'm repeating the points again and again. So at least 50% you should say without looking. Okay. So try. Good, Rijas. And then let us proceed to the next slide. So you have understood what is biology, what is life, and what is a living organism. So 3 definitions we have learned by now. Next, let us consider some of the basic characteristics of living organism. From lower classes, I think maybe from your lower primary classes, you have been learning in EVS the different characteristics of organism. Living things can grow, living things can reproduce, living things can respond to stimuli, they can move. So many points you have learned. Now in this chapter, we are going to analyze some of the points. We'll analyze some of the basic characteristics of living things, and we will check whether you can consider it as a defining or a unique feature of living organism. I'll repeat, we are going to analyze some basic characteristics of living things, and you are going to check whether it fits the definition or fits the heading. Okay, we'll start with the properties of organism. The few points are listed here: growth, reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization, consciousness. So we are going to consider 5 factors now. Okay, at a time we are going to consider 5 points or 5 characteristics, and one by one we will be analyzing. One by one you will be analyzing each character. So which are the characters we are going to discuss, Punya? Which are the features we are going to analyze?
Growth,
reproduction,
metabolism, cellular organization,
and consciousness. Very good. So one by one we will analyze. Let us start with growth. Okay. The first point is growth. How do you grow? Malavika Radhakrishnan, tell me, how do you grow?
By cell division.
Yes, very good. So it is by cell division. The cells in your body undergo division. The number of cells increase and we grow. Correct answer. Okay, so you can define growth as the increase in the number as well as the mass of cells by cell division. So what is growth? Growth is the increase not only in the number should increase, and the mass of these cells also should increase. Soon after the cell division, we get, suppose a single cell is undergoing division. You get 2 new cells. Those 2 new cells should again grow and become fully developed to carry out another cell division. So they keep on increasing. Their size increases, their mass increases. Clear? So growth can be defined as the increase in the number and mass of cells by cell division. Okay? I'll repeat once again. You can define it as the increase in the number and mass of cells by cell division. So growth is increase in the number and the mass of cells by cell division. I'm repeating the points so that you will learn now. So make use of when I'm repeating again and again, try to learn now itself. So growth, very simple definition, increase in the number and growth of cells by cell division. Now let us compare the growth taking place in plants and animals. I don't want you to see the slide. One of you tell me, is there any difference between the pattern of growth in plants and animals? Anybody? Anybody respond? Meenakshi? Meenakshi, unmute yourself and tell me. Are you there, Meenakshi?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me. Is there? I'll help you. Just try. Just begin.
Ma'am, plants grow with no much change, like they grow upwards.
Then, and animals?
Animals show changes in different stages of life.
And how long do we grow? Till what age we grow?
We grow till we die.
Till then I should become Amitabh Bachchan or taller than them. Can we grow indefinitely like that? You grow only till what age? Anybody else can say? Anybody else? Approximately till what age you will increase? I'm not saying about, see, an adult of my age, we will grow means I can become fat. I can never become tall. If I need to become tall, I have to step into some high heel shoes. Okay. But I can put on weight as much as I like. By eating very heavy, fatty food, I can put on fat. By the deposition of fat, I can increase my weight and I can become more stout. But never I can increase my height. So we grow up to age of 19, maximum 21. Beyond that, we cannot grow. Okay. But are the plants like that, Meenakshi?
No, ma'am.
Till the lifespan is over, they keep on growing. We are not like that. Okay, good attempt. So I'll say what is the difference between the growth taking place in plants and animals. Plants, they continue to grow throughout their lifetime. If you chop the branches also, they keep on growing. But animals are not like that. They'll grow. You take the case of human beings. Maximum 19, 20, 21, not more than that. Beyond that, you cannot grow. But definitely, some other type of growth is taking place. What I meant is your body cells. There are different type of cells in your body. They have a limited lifespan. Say, I'll give you 2 examples. Your skin cells. The maximum lifespan is 3 weeks. After that, it has to be renewed. 2 to 3 weeks. Then it has to be renewed. Take the case of red blood cells. Maximum lifespan is 120 days. After that, new one has to be formed. So this repairing, renewing, or maybe we fall down and our skin or some damage, some injury can be there in your body. And the body automatically repairs it, maintains your body. Okay. For that, cell division for the sake of that keeps on going on till we die. But we will never grow in our height. Growth as such, your bone cells will not grow, or you cannot grow in height beyond a particular age. So that is the main difference between the growth taking place in plants and animals. Plants, they grow throughout their lifespan, whereas animals can grow only up to a certain age. Beyond that, no growth takes place, but cell division definitely takes place to repair the low cells or to repair the damaged cells. Okay, any doubt? Any doubt regarding the first point? No. If something is there, please ask me. Now, from childhood or from in the EVS class, from there you are learning that growth is an important characteristic. Only living things grow, non-living things cannot grow. So we are going to analyze whether what we learned is correct or not. We said growth can be considered as the increase in the mass and size. Yes, that is what we said. Increase in the size and the mass. If that is the definition for growth, even non-living things can grow. I'll give you examples. Mountain can grow in height. Mountain can increase its height. It can become more bigger by the deposition of substances, materials on it. Similarly, a heap of sand. If we keep on adding more and more sand, definitely its size and mass will increase. So we can say they are also growing. But in living things, there is a difference in the growth taking place. Our growth is from within. Growth takes place from within in living organism, but non-living things too grow by the deposition or surface accumulation of materials. When we keep on adding materials, take the case I said, no, a sand dune or a heap of sand, you keep on adding more sand, it can increase its size and mass, which will fit the definition for growth. So we cannot consider growth as a defining property of living organisms. So the first point we have ruled out. This cannot be considered as a defining or characteristic property of living things. Why? Because even non-living things can grow by the surface accumulation of materials. For example, mountains, sand dunes, all these can grow by the accumulation of materials on it. So it cannot be considered as a defining property of living things. Any doubt, children? If you don't have doubt, I'll proceed to the next one. Do ask some doubt, no? Nobody is having doubt? Sharon, no doubt? Understood? Have you understood? Michael, any doubt? All fine, no problem. I'll proceed. Okay. So we'll continue with the next character. What was the next character we discussed? Next character, Alvin, which is the next feature after growth? Reproduction. Next is reproduction. Your voice is slightly feeble, Alvin. Okay. What is reproduction? Very detailed you have learned in class 10. What is meant by reproduction? Here another definition is given. Malavika, can you give me the definition for reproduction?
Forming of another young ones.
Repeat once again.
Forming young ones.
You understood my question? Define what is meant by reproduction.
Forming of young ones.
I can't understand what you're saying. Pardon, please repeat.
Forming young ones.
Forming their young ones, or the process by which living things produce or living things give rise to their young ones is known as reproduction. You have learned in detail in class 10. It is a production of progeny having features similar to that of parents. Progeny means offsprings, young ones. So you can define, either you can write reproduction is a process by which living things give rise to their young ones, or even you can write it is a production of progeny having features similar to that of the parents. Okay, and there are two types of reproduction that also we have learned. Rijas, which are the two methods of reproduction?
Asexual and sexual.
Sexual and asexual reproduction, as it is given, organisms can reproduce both sexually and asexually. Details I'm not going into because you have learned in detail in class 10. Now, very curious fact is stated here. In unicellular organism, can you name a unicellular organism? One of you. Any unicellular organism. Very common one. Anybody? Don't wait for me to call out your name, children. Akshay, tell me the name. Oh, yes. Amoeba. Yes, yes. Good. So, amoeba is an example for a unicellular organism. And how does amoeba reproduce? Amoeba reproduces by means of, what is the process? Amoeba reproduces through,
Cell division.
what is the name of that particular cell division? There is a
Fission.
special name.
Binary fission.
Repeat.
Binary fission.
Yes, very good. Binary fission. So in binary fission also literally it is cell division only. A cell is getting divided into two new cells. So in unicellular organism, growth as well as reproduction is taking place by cell division. Growth and reproduction both are same, because reproduction and growth both take place by means of cell division. Is it clear? Yes. So in point to be noted, in unicellular organism, growth and reproduction both are taking place by means of the same process, that is cell division. Now, so our intention of analyzing these features with that, we want to know whether this can be considered as a defining or characteristic property of living things. So reproduction, in lower classes, we have learned that all living things reproduce, non-living things cannot reproduce. But there are certain living things who cannot reproduce. Examples are given here. Mules, worker bees, infertile human couples. Mules means, mule is a crossbreed between two related species, horse and donkey. A male donkey and female horse. Female horse and male donkey, when you crossbreed, you get mule. And worker bees, you might be knowing about honeybee colony. In a honeybee colony, you have drone bee, that is male bee. Then there is queen bee, then worker bees. Worker bees are sterile. They cannot reproduce. Worker bees are females, but they can't reproduce. Only queen in the honeybee colony can lay eggs and they can reproduce. Drone bees and the queen bee together carry out reproduction, but worker bees are infertile. Similarly, mule is infertile. If you want to raise a new mule, you have to go for crossbreeding. A mule cannot give rise to another mule. Okay? And at the same time, take the case of human beings. We say all living things reproduce. We know the cases of many couples who are not able to produce a young one, or many of them are infertile. Maybe some defect in their reproductive system. There can be different factors. So because of that, some of them are infertile. So the definition, that is all living things. We cannot generalize and say that all living things reproduce. So reproduction also cannot be considered as a defining property of living things. Got the point? So we analyzed two features, two characters. The first one was growth. Since non-living things also grow by the accumulation of substances on it, you can't consider it as a defining property only of living things. Second one, I told reproduction. From lower class, you have been learning that reproduction is a unique characteristic of living things. But there are many living things who cannot reproduce. So reproduction also cannot be considered as a main characteristic of living things. So you have ruled out two characters. Now 3 more are remaining. So let us proceed with that. Any doubt, children, in this? You want me to repeat? Anything to be repeated? Or if it is clear, one of you unmute and say. You should be very prompt in responding. Anybody unmute and say I can proceed, it's okay. Punya, is it okay? Can I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Children, you please respond. You don't wait for me. When I'm asking you to say something, don't wait to call out your name. You just respond. Only we are there. Only 18 participants, you 17 and myself. Next is metabolism. So we analyzed growth, reproduction. Third feature is metabolism. Anybody can say what is metabolism? I have told this in our class. Maybe new ones, I don't know. Maybe their teacher also might have taught the same thing. Gayatri, Manoj, do you know what is metabolism?
Ma'am,
Let it be wrong. No problem, Gayatri.
ma'am, The like I don't know.
Don't know? Anybody else? Metabolism. This has been taught. Maybe I mentioned it was not there in your textbook. Anybody? Nandana is there? Nandana, what is metabolism? Metabolism. Where is metabolism happening? Some idea? Anyone? Steffi? Metabolic reactions, metabolism. Nobody is having any clue about that? No one. Steffi? Any idea? No. Okay, leave it. So metabolism means all the reactions, sum total of all the reactions taking place in your body is known as metabolism. Sum total of all the reactions taking place in your body is known as metabolism. And metabolism, there are two types. So metabolism can be divided into anabolism and catabolism. Clear? Metabolism, you can divide it into anabolism and catabolism. Metabolism can be categorized into two. One is anabolism, the other one is catabolism. I'll tell you what it is. Metabolism means the sum total of all the reactions taking place in your body. That is known as metabolism. Metabolism, you can categorize it into anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism means all the synthesizing, building up reactions taking place in your body. And catabolism means the breaking down reactions which are taking place in your body. Those are known as catabolism. Anabolism plus catabolism together is known as metabolism. I'll repeat once again. Metabolism is the sum total of all the reactions taking place in your body. I'll give examples for both anabolism and catabolism. Photosynthesis. Okay. In photosynthesis, using the simple raw materials, glucose is being synthesized. So it's an anabolic reaction. Okay. But at the same time, in your body, food materials are broken down to release energy during digestion. Isn't it? So that is an example for catabolic reaction. Anabolism, building up reaction, synthesizing reaction. Catabolism means breaking down reactions. So anabolism and catabolism together form metabolism. So once again, metabolism is the sum total of all the chemical reactions taking place inside a living system. And this feature can be considered as a defining property of all living things. So we were analyzing some of the unique characteristics of living things which we had been learning since childhood. But out of the three, the first two we have ruled out, saying that that is possible by non-living things too. And the third one, metabolism. Metabolism cannot be found in non-living things. So it can be considered as a unique or a defining property of living things. Metabolism is a unique property of all living organisms. Any doubt, children? Shall I proceed? Shall I proceed to the next topic? Now, metabolic reactions, you might have heard that scientists inside the laboratory, they can repeat, they can carry out different reactions which used to take place in the body of living organism. Okay, so many metabolic reactions can be carried out in vitro. In vitro means outside your body, in cell-free systems. Normally, all the metabolic reaction takes place within your cell, within the cells present in your body. But scientists can carry out different living reactions outside your body in cell-free systems. But those are not living things, living reactions. Okay, when a scientist carries out some reactions which usually takes place inside the body of a living organism, you don't call that reaction as a living thing. You call it as a living reaction. So metabolism can be considered as a unique property of all living organisms, whereas growth and reproduction cannot be considered so. Next one. So we have covered the first one was growth, then reproduction, metabolism, and the fourth point is cellular organization. So we are going to deal with cellular organization. Cellular organization. Cellular organization means all living organisms, we all are made up of cells. And the cells are grouped into tissues. Tissues into organs. Organs into organ system. Such a cellular organization, such a definite organization is found only in living organisms. You cannot find cells, tissues, organs or organ system in any of the non-living things. So it can be considered as a unique property of living things. Clear? So out of 4 points we discussed, 2 are not considered as a defining property of living things. Which are they, Gayatri? Which all characters can, out of what we have listed so far, which are the 2 we cannot consider as defining property?
Ma'am, growth and reproduction.
Okay. Which are the 2 characters you can consider as unique properties? Steffi, which 2 you can consider as a defining property of living things? Steffi?
Metabolism and cellular organization.
Very good. Where is your video? Turn your video on.
Ma'am, 1 minute, it isn't coming.
Okay, okay. So the 2 points, as I told, one is cellular organization, the other one is metabolism. So only living things. I'm repeating cellular organization. Once again, all living things are made up of cells, and in them cells are grouped into tissues, tissues into organs, organs into organ systems, and several such organ systems together make an organism. Clear, children? So I'm going to move to the next slide. The last feature, that is consciousness. Consciousness is also found only in living things. No non-living things can exhibit consciousness. They are not aware of their surroundings. Only living things are aware of their surroundings. Starting from the prokaryotic, like bacteria, to the higher level of organisms, including human beings, we all are capable of responding to environmental stimuli, irrespective of whether it is a bacteria or a human being. All the living things, irrespective of the size or irrespective of the complicated structure they have, we all are capable of responding to external stimuli. It is the ability, consciousness is the ability of the organism to sense their surroundings and respond to stimuli. We exhibit self-awareness. We are capable of, or we are aware of your surroundings. And the different stimuli are light, water, temperature, the other organisms, different type of chemicals, different pollutants. When you are exposed to any of these stimuli, we respond. Knowingly or unknowingly, we respond. This is possible only for living things. No non-living things can respond to environmental cues or external situations. Even when the environmental conditions change, only living things can respond to them. Clear? So consciousness is a very, very important property of living things. This also can be considered as a defining property of living things. It's the ability of the living organisms to sense their surroundings and to respond to stimuli. To sense their surroundings and to respond to stimuli. Hope it is clear. To sense their surroundings, they can sense their surroundings and respond to stimuli. But we human beings, 25, 12, 20, 15. Okay, I'll wind it, sir. Okay, children, so that means we all are aware of our surroundings, or else you can say we are capable of sensing our surroundings and responding to them. But only human beings have the ability of self-consciousness. Only we have self-consciousness, only we have self-awareness. It is enough for today. It's already time. Please go through what has been taken. Okay, we'll meet next class. Okay, thank you, children. Any doubt, children? Okay, bye children.